got to talk about the good old state of Maine. Yeah, where we got, the Rhino Susan Collins, who I believe we should vote for her. If you live in Maine, make sure you support Susan Collins, all right? But more importantly, we got to talk about Graham Plattner, the socialist that is running against her in Maine, because it's quite interesting to watch some Democrats jump through all types of hoops in order to justify supporting somebody like Graham Plattner. And now we know kind of where this is all stemming from. And I want to play it for you guys because I found this quite interesting. Here it is. Apologies to begin with before we even hop into this clip because this guy's voice is so annoying. I'm just being honest. It is terrible. But check it out.
Plattner isn't the first candidate the couple has on its roster. They first met while working on Sanders' presidential campaign in 2020. By that point, Moraff had already led a progressive Democrat, Summer Lee, to win a state house seat in Pittsburgh, and Lee went on to become a member of Congress. Then they set their sights on Nebraska, where they recruited Dan Osborne, an independent, to run for the Senate in 2024. Despite losing against Republican Deb Fischer, Osborne came within a historically slim margin, and now he's running again this year against another incumbent, Pete Ricketts.
What do you look for in a candidate? What do you think makes a successful candidate?
Somebody who feels authentically reflects the culture of the district that they come from. It astounds me how many Democratic candidates are recent transplants to their districts, and that they have, appointed themselves the right kind of person to run in that district.
I think a healthy contempt for existing Democratic Party infrastructure is really essential. That infrastructure does really horrible things to candidates and to campaigns. And
what do you mean by that?
There's this whole world.
I told you. I warned y'all. I warned you. I let you know ahead of time. It was gonna be terrible. I know. But listen to what they're saying, man. This is crazy stuff. They are attempting to take over the Democrat Party.
Infrastructure does really horrible things. Structure is really essential. That infrastructure does really horrible things to candidates and to campaigns. And
what do you mean by that?
There's this whole world of people who've built careers out of the Democratic Party and its ecosystem, and who put out the kind of campaigns where a normal person can look at it and say, this looks and sounds like shit.
Yeah, that is some individuals behind the scenes that are trying to pull some strings in the Democrat Party. Oh my goodness, you can't make this stuff up, man. You really can't. But as you heard there, they're trying to destroy the Democrat Party from within. This is the monster that the Democrat Party made, and they're going to have to deal with it sooner rather than later. And we're already seeing it, right? The Chuck Schumers of the world want more of an establishment type. He wanted the Janet Mills type of candidates in Maine, but people like this wanted the Graham Plattners. Guess who won? People like him, because Graham Plattner is the one that's running against Susan Collins. So the establishment guy, Chuck Schumer, he lost. And so it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes because on a national scale, across the board, that type of candidate is not going to be able to win on a across the nation. It's just not going to happen. You might have a little bit of a shot in a state like Maine, but outside of that, in a couple other states here or there, it ain't happening, buddy. It ain't happening. So if these types of individuals take over the Democrat Party, say bye-bye to the Democrat Party completely. I mean, it's already spinning down the drain, and these guys are just going to make it spin even faster. So it's going to be hilarious to watch this tug of war play out. But here's some more.
In
At this point, you hadn't vetted Graham Plattner. You hadn't done a full scrub of who he is. How did you go about vetting him? And why did you?
we paid a nice firm a whole chunk of money and got some stuff back. Some of what you've seen on the news we got back. Other stuff we didn't.
Did the vetting process turn up the tattoo that became so controversial?
No.
The Reddit posts, did that turn up in the vetting process?
The firm sent us a thing, and it had some of the posts,
Yeah.
but it didn't have all of them.
And what did you think about that? How did you think your way through the fact that he had posted these things on social media?
I said none of this will or should stop him from becoming a U.S. Senator.
And what was your
Clearly the
thinking
voters
there?
agree. I think if what the voters wanted were people who were grown in vats and had never done or said anything that they might regret their entire lives, we'd have a very different country. Part of our thesis here is that people do not want their candidates grown in vats. They want people who are real human beings, and they want people who do not look and sound like the vat-grown people who've been leading this country off a cliff for the last century. And that was Graham.
Just days after this interview, more details about Plattner's past emerged.
And
So part of our thesis is that, they didn't want their candidates grown in vats. So basically, what he's saying there is he thinks that, these leftists want some radical individual to run rather than, a standard Chuck Schumer type of, Hakeem Jeffries type of Democrat. Someone who's a bit closer to the middle and not so radical. He thinks that someone who is far left would have a better shot. And their past, their history, the things that they've done, the tattoos that they possibly have, don't matter to the voters at all whatsoever. Interesting. We'll see how it plays out. I think it's not going to play out very well. I think that is terrible to think that you can just run anybody just because they're far left. I don't think that's going to work. Me personally. As of right now, today, I don't think it's going to work. And some of the polling has shown that, right? Graham Plattner was projected to win and beat Susan Collins for quite some time. And now that has flipped. The more and more stuff that comes out, his chances get worse and worse in the polls. And so I take that. I take, the video clips online of Democrats saying this is disgusting, this is terrible. Why would we run a candidate like this? I couldn't support a candidate like that, I just use a little bit of common sense. Like, I just don't think that he's going to win. And I take the fact that Susan Collins has outperformed her projections typically by quite a bit. I believe in the last election, she overperformed by 8 points, 8 or 10 points. So if she's already projected to win, now that gap is, if history remains true, that gap is huge because Graham Plattner needed, an 8 to 9 to 10 point, gap in order to beat Susan Collins based on history. And now he's losing. So that doesn't bode well. I don't think that bodes well for him. So, but anyway, it is still early. We shall see what comes of this, how this breaks down, how it happens. We got a lot of time before November, but I do think Susan Collins will pull it out 100%. And I hope that us Republicans show up, even in Maine, even for Susan Collins. Yes, I know she's a rhino, but she's a whole lot better than Graham Plattner. Okay. And sometimes you got to pick and choose your battles. And I don't think this is something that we should plant our flag on as of right now. Now, while she's in office, we can work on, getting somebody to replace her in Maine, to primary her. But we don't have that individual right now. It's just not possible. Okay. Somebody who was who is an America First Republican probably wasn't going to win in Maine. It just wasn't going to happen. So I'd rather keep a Republican right? Rather than having a full-blown far leftist extremist Democrat in office. To me, that's just common sense, but unfortunately, common sense is no longer common in today's world. So, but anyway, y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about this. I'm sure you guys are going to comment on his voice. How terrible was it? What was it okay? Was it unbearable? Was it just whatever? Y'all let me know. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.